Hey, what's going on, y'all? So I was thinking just this morning about some of the differences I've observed during my time as a personal trainer between men and women. And I just kind of want to discuss those because I kind of want to pull these things out. I think there's things we can learn about the differences between how men and women tend to approach fitness. And I think there are things that we can learn from each other. So I'm just going to discuss a few things. And I'm curious to see what you have to say about this, and even if you have other things to add and what you can learn from this. So make sure you comment below. All right. So first of all, women tend to lean toward cardio, and men tend to lean toward strength training. Okay. Now, I think this is pretty obvious. A lot of times, women are going to be more on average. I'm not saying this is a rule. I'm just saying this is like my observation. Women are going to migrate more toward like cardio machines, cardio kind of classes and whatnot. Men a lot of times are going to be leaning toward lifting heavy weight, doing hard like strength training, whether it be like actual weightlifting to calisthenics. However, well, but let me wait before I get there. And I think one of the biggest reasons for that, there's been this still kind of like somewhat ongoing kind of thing, concern that a lot of women have about getting bulky and building lots of muscle. And I've said it many times before. Many people have been saying it over the past several years, and I'll say it again that ladies, you don't have to be concerned about gaining massive amounts of muscle. If it were that easy, then shoot, I would be huge. Um, but just because women don't have the same hormonal profiles as men, even though you can gain muscle and you do want to gain muscle for health reasons, it's kind of hard to become bulky, especially for ladies. Um, and then men tend to lean toward strength training because we tend to want to build lots of muscle, and there's something that's macho about hoisting weight and all this kind of stuff, and we tend to like that. However, sometimes to our detriment, we tend to not do stuff that kind of gets our heart pumping like more consistently. Even though I'm not necessarily as big of a fan of what they call steady state cardio, where you're just kind of doing like running for, you know, 30 minutes or running for several miles. At the same time, even like some brief cardio, like 10 minutes or so, I think is a good idea. And it's something that we as men need to kind of do a bit more because we tend to not really focus as much on getting our blood flowing. Although I will say there are ways to do cardio, so to speak, with strength training by doing like more dynamic, like reducing your rest between sets, reducing your rest between exercises, or doing like even something like CrossFit, which is very heart engaging, so to speak. All right, next thing, women are a lot quicker to want to learn about health and fitness and ask questions about health and fitness, while men tend to be a lot less likely to learn about it and tend to just kind of either go their own way or ignore that stuff altogether. And that's one of the things that honestly bothers me the most. Very consistently, when I have gone to talk in settings like talking to a group of people about health and fitness related stuff. Usually the audience is at least, I'll say, like 80% women, at least. And women are gonna have the questions. I'm not saying men don't, um, but women are they're gonna be asking questions, and they're gonna be very curious. They're a lot more likely to buy health and fitness related literature. And men a lot of times don't go to those kind of things. There are exceptions. I mean, me myself, I'm one of them because I've eaten up like tons of like health and fitness related literature over my years. A lot of it's because my mom had it in the house. Um, but a lot of times we don't tend to like whenever there's like an event or something like that that's health and fitness related, especially when it comes to learning about stuff. We just kind of as guys tend to like not really you know, attend stuff. Y'all, we got to do better. Dudes, we have to do better. Okay. So, again, that's one of the things that really irritates me a bit. And it's not like all of us are like that, but a lot of us are. We tend to not even want to learn about stuff. We kind of tend to either ignore it, um, until something happens, or tend to go at it on our own, or just not really be curious about like learning more, if that makes sense. Now, let me go back a bit on the first point I made about women tending to lean toward cardio and men tending to lean toward weightlifting or weight training. I will say that for sure in 2025, or even for the past, I say 10, 15 years, ladies have become they've really really jumped on weights a lot more, a whole lot more. You see like a lot more ladies in the gym lifting weights and doing weight training, or strength training of different kinds, or doing, like I said, CrossFit, calisthenics, all this kind of stuff, because they're really kind of seeing how it makes their body, it improves their health, hormonal profiles, helps to shape their bodies and stuff. So kudos to ladies for doing that. Kudos to my wife. My wife's been in the gym with me, getting it in, lifting weights and stuff, and she's even kind of starting to feel the stuff, and it's been good. So kudos to my wife. If you see this, definitely proud of you. All right, number three, women tend to be more concerned about losing excess fat than men. Okay. And so a lot of times women are wanting, or a lot more concerned about losing excess fat. And let's be fair, some of the difference between men and women, like as far as like our hormonal profiles, tends to make it a little more challenging for ladies to lose fat than men. So think about this. Like having extra fat for a woman is an actual, it's like a biological thing, for the sake of childbearing and breastfeeding and all that kind of stuff. Like it's literally like in a lady's DNA to carry more fat, and it tends to be good for health and stuff like that. So like literally, if like for example, if a man gets ultra lean, like I'll say below 10% body fat, it's one thing for him, where it may affect some things health wise, but maybe not. Whereas if a woman were to get below 10% body fat, then it'll really throw hormonal stuff off a lot. Like it tends to kind of stop cycles and all this kind of stuff. Um, But anyway, all of that said, women tend to be more concerned about losing excess fat. They have a little more challenge because of the fluctuation of hormones and whatnot. Whereas it tends to be a little easier for men to lose excess fat because of like our hormonal profile, specifically because of our like androgen, higher androgens like testosterone and whatnot. However, on the part of the men being less concerned about losing excess fat, it's not like we don't carry excess fat, because we do. We just it tends to be more like whatever with guys to carry excess fat. But what I want to say to my brothers is carrying excess fat is not necessarily what you want, because it affects your hormones too. It puts extra load on your joints, and it can cause other health issues. So it's we need to make sure we get an excess fat off too. Okay. All right. The fourth thing is men tend to be um bigger meat consumers than women on average. Okay. Like a lot of times, and I don't have the specific stats on this, but men tend to go for more meat in their diets than women. And I mean, this could be like a biological thing. Like we tend to like maybe be more leaning toward that. It could be meeting like biological needs a bit more. Um, so yeah, that's just something that I've observed that I want to kind of mention. I don't have a problem with meat personally. I do believe that most of us could stand to consume a bit less meat than we do on average. But yeah, that's just something I've observed, that men tend to lean toward eating meat more than women. Another thing is men tend to be more resistant to change than women. Women tend to be a lot more open minded when it comes to adopting healthy habits. while men tend to be a lot more likely to be like, well, I've always done it this way, or I ain't changing this now. I've been doing this all my life. It ain't never hurt or whatever. And a lot of times it's ladies that tend to kind of encourage men to kind of change their health in ways and whatnot. So thank you, ladies, for looking out for the men in your life and whatnot. And sorry for our stubbornness at times. Men, now, if you have healthy habits, men, and you're resistant to change those, that's cool. But like, if you are needing to make some healthy changes, maybe you need to get off some medications, maybe you need to lose some excess weight, you need to get stronger, you need to get more flexible. Like, y'all, like, we have to, like, sometimes it's hard to be told what to do, but at the same time, you need to understand, you have to be open to change. Just because you've been doing it all this time, one, doesn't mean that you need to keep on doing it. Two, it doesn't mean that it's not harmful to you. Because sometimes we think we've gotten away with it so long that it's just proving that somehow you're immune to the harmful effects. It's not proving that. It's just showing how resilient your body is. And you can't take that for granted. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to mention here, I guess it's the sixth thing, is that women tend to focus more on their lower bodies when it comes to strength training, and men tend to focus more on their upper bodies. Okay, now obviously for men and women, you want to train your whole body, and not just the body region or the muscle groups that you're interested in. Like ladies might be more so like really trying to train glutes and thighs, and men chest and arms. But let's just be real. If you just train one part of your body, then you know you could look imbalanced and even cartoonish. Like how in like Tarzan, the animated movie or whatever, like you have these apes that are like just cartoonishly big arms and what. And granted, real life apes are kind of like that. But my point is, you want your body to be balanced in the aesthetic, but then you also want it to be balanced for the sake of like your posture, and your joint health and all of those kind of things, because it can be problematic if you just train one body group and whatnot. Um, you know, there's been years of discussion about just the whole concept of chicken legs in a man. It ain't cool to have chicken legs, just to kind of always spend your time bench pressing in the gym, brothers, and doing curls. Remember, if you do curls, you need to be doing some sort of extensions as well. If you do bench press or push ups, you need to be doing some sort of rows. You need to be doing some chin ups, pull ups, something like that. Ladies, if you're doing what are they called, those bridges, glute bridges and squats and stuff like that, you need to also be doing your bench press and or your push-ups and your rows, and stuff for your core, which I think ladies tend to do pretty good on their core as well. But you need to be doing these things to help to balance out your physique. It also um help you to have better posture and better overall health. Okay. So yeah, let's learn as men and women, let's appreciate our differences, and let's also learn from each other, so that we can each kind of have better, like more well-rounded fitness, well-rounded strength, well-rounded health overall. Okay. Let me know what you think. If you have anything that you've observed that's different between men and women as far as like how we approach health and fitness, and even if any of the things that I talked about are insightful for you to help you to kind of think a little differently about your own health. Y'all have a good one. As we get older, it becomes increasingly important to maintain and build muscle. Muscle helps you burn fat, stay mobile, and can contribute to longevity. However, many people have no idea how to work out to build muscle. My mini workout series on Patreon provides you with my body weight mini workout video library. These workouts use little to no equipment, which means that you can do them in the privacy of your own home. They start at beginner level and progress from there to ensure you continue to see results. Every workout is a full body workout, hitting chest, back, legs, and glutes, as well as other muscles in between. Become a patron today and receive access to my series of mini workouts, plus access to a digital copy of my book, 8 Weeks to Transform Your Diet and Your Health. By combining the workouts with healthy diet changes, as outlined in my book, you'll definitely be on your way to weight loss, improved health, and visible results. Join me at patreon.com/SeanB2B Fitness today.